Oh, the screen's freezing for you?
No, you keep freezing.
Have I been freezing for others? No? Oh, good. Okay.
So I'm not
Okay,
worried.
it looks like it's... All right, well, I got a fancy green background because I couldn't figure out how to give you a actual fake background. But welcome everybody to esteemed panel. I'm super honored. You know, I've done some of these in the past at various events and various platforms, and every time I'm like, how can I make it better than that one? And it's all about the speakers and who we have on here. And I did my very best to just like find ultra rock stars, and I'm not exaggerating. I just really wanted to have the best value for you guys jumping in here and have some. This is about franchise development. I mean, that's the hottest topic with any franchisor out there, emerging or giant. They want to know how to get more leads and for less money, less time, less effort, but more quality. So I reached out to a wide variety of rock stars in franchise development and asked them to speak honestly from their experience, what's happening today in their world. So before we dive right into that topic, I'll ask each person to introduce themselves. So Lori, would you go first, please? Just give us your name, where you're located, and a little about your brand.
Sure. Lori Shaffron. I'm with Rita's Franchise Corporation. I am out of Trevose, Pennsylvania. We have almost 600 locations, and we're ready to rock it.
Yes, you are. Good seeing you, my friend. And Brent Dowling. Brent jumped in here. I was a little worried Brent might not make it, but he did. Appreciate you being here, Brent.
Thank you, Red. And yeah, we're in Denver. My day job is a development company called Raintree. And then I moonlight. I'm a franchisor of a children's art studio called Kid Create Studio. And I now have a brewery franchise called Voodoo Brewery on the side there too. So excited to be here and learn from everybody today.
Busy man, and he didn't say this, but they represent 18 brands. So he can certainly give some insights on what's working amongst 18 franchise brands. Thank you, Brent. Hey, Joe, good to see you, bro.
Red. I am Joe. I'm the managing director of franchise development for the Batteries Plus franchise. That's the 26th brand I've been involved in the development process with. And I am based out of sunny South Florida, and Batteries Plus, we're just shy of 750 locations.
Strong. Excited that you're there. Joe has been just added there recently and really taking that brand to the next level. Miss Christina Chambers, good to see you, my dear.
Nice to see you too, Red. Christina Chambers. I am in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah, when the California fire smoke isn't over us. I am the executive vice president of InExpress. We are a business-to-business franchise in 14 countries, just over 400 franchisees. And next week is my 20th anniversary in franchising.
Strong. You started when you were 8. Well done.
Kindergarten.
Cameron, good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Red. So my name is Cameron Weirs. I'm with H.E.A.T brands. We have 3, not quite 18. We have 3 home service brands. The one that's most well known is 1-800-GOT-JUNK. We also have Wow One Day Painting, and our newest brand is Shack Shine, which is in the house detailing space. Collectively, we have about 300 franchise partners servicing 1,600 territories across Canada, the U.S., as well as Australia. And I am in sunny Vancouver, British Columbia right now. I'm probably the only Canadian on the call.
You didn't have to tell us where you were at, Aboot, brother.
No,
you know, in some of these happy hours on Zoom, we have a drinking game where whenever a Canadian says Aboot, we have to drink. So good to have you here today. We forgot our glasses, at least some of us. Lance may not have. Lance, welcome, brother. Share with us who and where you're at.
Thanks, Red. Honored to be here. Thanks for the invite. I am, speaking of heat, I'm in Phoenix, where it's about going to be about 111 today, but we say it's a dry heat. I have been in the industry for about 2.5 decades and head up development for Exponential Fitness. We've got 8 brands under our hood, some of which most people are familiar with, like Pure Bar or Cycle Bar and some others. We have about 2,000 operating units today domestically. We've got about 4,000 licenses awarded domestically and globally. We're in about 10 countries right now. So that's where we sit today.
Awesome, gang. Well, thanks again for being on here. And if you're out in the audience, you can post your questions over on the right side in the chat section, and I will get to them in the second half of today's session. If it isn't really obvious, we certainly have a panel of rock stars that know franchise development, know what's working, and know what's not. So let's jump in there in that same order we just went through. Lori. Oh, hey, I'll introduce myself, Red Boswell, IFPG. I don't have my IFPG signage on here. We're a franchise consulting organization. We help franchisors with their lead development. So I'm going to respectfully bow out of giving my insights and opinions of what's working and what's not, and go to the folks that are on the front line. First of all, Lori Shaffron. Lori, with Rita's, what do you see not working like it used to? And then let's talk one or two that you're just having some extra success with.
Well, I think that COVID is scaring some people a little bit. So some people are going to say, I'm going to wait and see what happens. I also think the election is on putting people on the back burner a little bit for being out in the world today. So for the not working, there's just a little bit of fear. But I can tell you that there's more good out there than fear out there, because the franchise lead has been very strong, because I think people are sitting at home that are either furloughed and saying, wait, I don't want to go through this again. I might look for a business to be in touch with. Rita's is a pretty well-known brand, so we're getting a lot of interest. COVID has really helped us because we are still in the fun brand of walk up and get a treat. So no one panics about being in a restaurant, and the sales have been higher this year than the last few years.
Nice. And where are those sales typically coming from as of late? Any hot lead sources that you can share with the audience?
Well, I can think that, SEO with the website brings in a lot for us, and we get a lot of referrals, and a lot of existing franchises are doing so well that they're looking to expand.
Gotta love that. That's a great sign. Kudos to you. And on referrals, are these referrals from your current Zs, referrals from your network, referrals from your clients? Help us understand the referral part of it.
I think that our franchisees are really putting the word out there because they're happy. And when franchisees are making money, they're happy. So they're telling their friends. But you know what? Rita's is a fun brand, and everybody likes to have fun. So they want to be a part of the fun.
Hey, making money is fun to me. So love it. Good job. Mr. Dowling, what insights? So you and I just spoke yesterday about this topic. Love, can you share today on what's hot and what's not?
Yeah, I guess starting with what's not, we talked a little bit about this, but funding's been tricky for us. I don't know if you guys on the call have had any experience in this too, but certainly our retail brands with less than 50 units are struggling to get that SBA loan that we used to be able to easily get. Thank God I see Tim Sieber on the call and Fran Fund and folks like Benetrends that are still able to help us navigate some 401k rollovers and some HELOCs, and we're still getting deals done that way. But man, I tell you, if the SBA was opened up just with the demand we're seeing, it would be a different ballgame completely. So we're excited to get through an election, get on top of kind of a pandemic, and have the banks feel a little bit more comfortable about where the world's headed again. So that's been a little bit of a struggle. On the hot side, I guess you mentioned lead generation channels. Yeah, I think just since March, probably I'd say most of our budget, we're between $500,000 and $1 million a month on lead generation across 18 brands. And I think, I may be wrong, but I think it has to be 1 or 2 would be Facebook is where most of that's going now. we saw like leads as cheap as $6 running there in July, which was just insane. And that's reflective of an increase in demand, which I think is reflective of people sitting at home on their computers a little more than usual and a little easier to get in front of the folks you want to get in front of. So I think seeing a bunch of Facebook deals get done, which is really exciting to us because they're efficient, cost-effective deals to do.
So Brent, on that Facebook topic and spending that smaller dollars than normal because so many franchise owners pulled back in their budgets, my friend Jack Monson said, he told me this about a month ago. He said in September and October, and of course, first week of November, forget about pay-per-click, social media, paid ads. It's going to be flooded by the by the election, and prices will go sky high. Have you seen that hit yet?
Not yet, no. I mean, certainly not as cheap as $6 in July. Prices have increased a little bit, no gigantic swing yet. And I do agree, it is going to get a little tougher. And that was part of the run here that we've had, is not just in Facebook, in franchising, but just companies in general. The first thing they seemed to cut was marketing. And that just opens up for those that are brave and bold that want to get in there and build a pipeline. That was a phenomenal time. We're still seeing a little bit of that for sure. So I think he's right, but we haven't seen it yet.
Nice. So the screen got mixed up in order. I think, Mr. Malmuth, what's happening at Batteries Plus?
So, I want to dovetail on what Brent was just saying, 100% right. And with the comment about the election and those types of things having an impact in the digital space. And I think those folks that are bold recognize that and have been pouring into those areas and kind of front loading a little bit the spend, knowing that, Q3 is going to be a little tougher. Q4 is going to be a little tougher with that in mind. But for us, we've almost completely divested of lead vendors at this stage. And it's because the digital has been working so well. And we've targeted some other metrics that we didn't normally traditionally consider when we were developing those digital leads, and spent a lot of time and effort retooling the website and reducing bounce rate and load times and these kinds of things, making sure the content and the narrative was right. But some of the things that historically, we're looking for buying patterns or lifestyle segments and stuff when we're doing digital, but turning around and going, hey, maybe we need to pay more attention to home value. In those types of metrics, because those are the folks typically that haven't been displaced because of the pandemic. A lot of it has been the service level worker, those frontline type of employees, and they may bleed into some of those buying or lifestyle patterns historically. So we've actually seen a trend upward in the number of inquiries that we've been getting, and a dramatic spike in the quality of those folks and their liquidity and net worth positions. And so we've had a tremendous 3 months here just in that respect. And our average sales cycle has gone down below 90 to 65.5 days. So it's been unbelievable.
I've been hearing that trend a lot, Joe. The idea that, the volume of leads, at least for a while, wasn't up, but the quality across the board over and over and over, I kept hearing was up, because you've got these folks who aren't so freaked out by this pandemic. They've gone through the downturns before. They've got a stronger financial net worth typically, and they're just not so concerned. Makes everything go faster and easier, and tends to have a better franchisee because of it. So now we're not only seeing quality up, but we're seeing the volume typically up as well. Good insights, Joe. Appreciate it. Hey, reminder to everyone in the background, right side of my page, there's a little chat button, upper right, down lower right. You can type it, type your question, and I'll hit those questions afterwards. And if it's to a specific panelist today, be sure to include their name, or I'll just start calling on some panelists that I think could hit your question well. So please do that anytime. Now, Miss Chambers. And guys, by the way, you see the differences. We've got restaurants, we've got services, we've got brick and mortars, we've got Brent with everything under the sun. So I'm trying to get a little of everything for you guys today. Christina is with Inexpress, a very unique brand. Mm-hmm. What are you seeing out there, Christina?
Sure. I'll double down on what Joe just said, at least in the U.S. So I'm over U.S. and Canada, and I'll say it's a tale of two worlds for me. US has been fantastic. And just so everybody knows, we are in the global shipping and logistics business. So essential. Our business itself, our franchisees, their revenue, their gross profit is up this year, year over year. It's actually one of the best years we've had in the past 5 years. People are still shipping things. We're bringing things out of China, which nobody else can do. So it's been a fantastic time for us. I hate saying that sometimes. I feel a little disingenuous saying what a boon time it is, but it is. And that's both countries. But I will say, US alone, we're seeing a lot of people who tell us, look, now is not the time for me to risk another job with the threat of another layoff or another furlough. And I want something that's stable. I want something with an industry that's growing. It's never going away. People will always have to ship things around the world, imports and exports. And we are seeing them come, and we're seeing them sign faster. So our time from lead to close is much, much faster than we've ever seen in the US. Now, Canada is a different story for us, even though our revenue for franchisees is about the same. We're seeing a slowdown because in Canada, all of our lead generation came from trade shows, 100% over the past 5 years. The minute those shut down and that face-to-face franchise sales went away, we had to scramble. We had to, I hate to say the word pivot, but we had to pivot and input some digital marketing campaigns. And those worked. We have done a few deals that way, but way more of a wait and see attitude is what we're seeing in Canada. And so that's, I would say it just depends on where you are, depends on where your franchisees are and the makeup of those candidates. It's an amazing time here in the US. It's a little slower in Canada, but we're hoping to see some turnarounds.
So everybody would agree with you, Christina. Expos aren't working right now.
No,
they're just
not so much.
They're not happening.
No.
I mean, there's some virtual expos, but I'll throw this out. Anybody had success on the virtual expos? Anybody raise your hand? No? Okay. Now, I'll preface that. Has anybody done a virtual expo? Raise your hand if you've done one or more. Christina. Okay. Oh, about everybody but Lori. And so 5 have done it and 5 shook their head no. Thank you for that. Mr. Wares, Cameron, you've got some hot brands. You've got brands that I would expect to not have been real negatively impacted by the pandemic with the service nature and the no brick and mortar required, more mobile services. Give us some insights on what's cold, what's hot.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, we did, of course, March and April, we saw a bit of a dip just because of the chaos of what was going on. However, our brands, all 3 of our brands have bounced back in a very strong way. They're all considered essential. So they were back online very quickly after some of the craziness had ironed itself out. What we're seeing, so for us, it's been mentioned around the digital piece, we're actually seeing a decline in the digital. I would say that digital pre-COVID would probably translate into about 50 to 60% of the deals that we're closing. I think what we're seeing now is broker deals are way up. And a little plug for you, Red. We're seeing some great traction with your group. So there's he didn't pay me anything yet. He will later. And referrals. Lori had mentioned this as well. We've seen a significant uptick in referrals, primarily because good people know good people. And we have franchise partners who are out there who are pushing through these tough times, and they're actually thriving. And their peers are looking at them going, I want some of that. So, because we have multiple brands, while that particular brand or that individual that they may know, that market's not available because they own it, they could be introduced to one of our emerging brands, whether it's Wow Windy Painting or Shack Shine. So we've seen a real uptick in referrals, and we've been very strategic about that. So we, for example, if there's a franchise partner in a location where we can add 4, 5, 10 new locations, we're going to zero in on them and we're going to equip them with tools. So we've created kits like templated emails and videos and PR hits so that it's literally plug and play for them. Because a lot of our franchise partners have come from a wide variety of backgrounds, and some of them have never networked before. Some of them don't really understand that side of things. So we've got our franchise developers spending time one-on-one coaching them on the skill of networking and sourcing referrals. So that's been a big uptick. As far as what else is going really well for us, well, maybe I'll go back to what's not, and then I'll segue into what is. Being in Canada,
well, Cameron, I'll interrupt that thought for a sec. While on the topic of referrals from current Zs, what's in it for them? Most Zs, or relatively most, at least half I've seen out there across the world of franchising, don't want a neighbor. They want to either acquire it at some point soon or service that area without having to pay for it. What's causing your guys? I mean, they love the brand, obviously. Is it an ad fund incentive where they know that more guys in the area will help everybody raise the ship? Or is it putting a little something in the back end for them? How's that motivation coming?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a bit of everything. Most franchise partners are keen to have a neighbor. Trying to be the one player in a major metropolitan area, that's expensive. And they know that, as you mentioned, the rising tide lifts all ships. So they're I wouldn't say incentivized, but they want a neighbor. They want to share on potentially hiring and training. They want to be able to have that neighbor to bounce ideas and look for marketing and lead generation opportunities. So that's one piece that's in it for them. The other piece is that they're invested and they love the brand and they want to grow the brand. And the incentive for them is that collectively we raise the bar and we get that brand awareness spread across, all across North America. And that in turn helps their initial investment. While they may be the first mover in their market, if they're able to help add, a neighboring market or even somebody in a different state or a different country, that does help the collective brand. So in some cases, we've incentivized through cash. What we found, though, is that most franchise partners who send referrals that actually do become franchise partners, they just do it because they're passionate about the brand. And they're going, hey, my life's great, and I'd love to have you taste what I'm tasting right now. So it's more of a feel-good give back than anything else.
Nice. Thank you. And thank you for letting me interrupt you, Cameron. You were leading into something that's not so hot.
Yeah, so for us, our head office is in Vancouver as well as Toronto. So that creates a problem when the borders are shut down. So, what has changed for us is typically we would only do face-to-face discovery days. And for somebody to travel to Canada, there's an expense there, there's a time commitment. So we would make sure that candidates are very deep in the process to the point where they're saying, I'm in, let's do this, and this is more of a formality. So then the post discovery day, when we're going to award and those deadlines to hit certain timelines, that has changed. Because what it's allowed us to do is we're getting people who are earlier in the process to attend virtual discovery days. And that in turn is getting some people who may not have wanted to go the full distance, but because they can, from the comforts of their home, join one of these discovery days, we're actually catching people earlier and we're finding that it's accelerating the sales process. So that's actually been, turning a negative into a positive. But I will also state that I think we're seeing two sides. We're either seeing the candidate who's going lightning speed, like faster than we've ever seen before. And these are typically the candidates who have been laid off, or there's a bit of panic to, I don't want to sit around too long. I got to get going. Let's go. And then building on what Lori said, there's also those who are saying, you know what, I'm interested and I want to do this, but we got a pandemic. We got a wild economy. We've got an election. We've got social unrest. We've got fires. We've got all this stuff going on. They're saying, you know what? I just need to take it slow. So we're either seeing really fast or we're seeing really slow. I've got a deal that's supposed to close this week who attended a discovery day back in April, and the peers that were on that discovery day are already open and producing work, just to give you some perspective. So some are going lightning and some are going extra slow.
Well, gang, if you have any questions on this topic, it's an interesting and a hot one right now. Post them on the right side. Cameron, you're the first person that I can recall that's actually said what I expected to hear a lot more often, which is we're allowing more people earlier in the process to go to our virtual discovery days. I've been hearing a ton of the opposite. I've been hearing a ton of, nope, same threshold has to be met before we allow you, even though it's virtual. And the typical message I hear after that, which again is so surprising, is, and we're closing an equal or even higher percentage of those people, awarding the same percentage, even though it's virtual and they didn't fly across the country and commit all that time and effort. So that's been interesting. But the fact that you're actually opening it to more, and that's allowing you to close a higher percentage of those earlier stage leads.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It does change the metrics though. So if I go back to my forecasting in January, those are blown out. So I wouldn't, the percentage of those that are actually converting would be lower, those that are attending the discovery day, but the volume is higher. We're actually closing more deals because we're able to get more people on board because they don't have to make that big commitment early on. And when they meet the team and they meet Brian and they sort of open up the hood and see what we have, it gets them really excited, and that accelerates those. And so I just want to be clear, we do conversion after those days, I would say would be lower than the in-person, right, but the actual volume is much higher because we're able to welcome more in sooner, if that makes sense.
Totally. That would be expected. And in a moment, guys, I might ask y'all about your discovery day virtual process and how it would compare to Cameron's. Mr. Freeman, excited to hear, in case anybody missed, 4,000 locations under the exponential 8 brands, all in that boutique fitness world. Buddy, how is it? This is brick and mortar, guys. You hear about fitness suffering. You hear about brick and mortar suffering. What are you seeing? What's not? What's hot and what's not?
Yeah, no, well, gosh, you got a rock star panel here, Red. I mean, I have to agree with so many of the points that folks have made today. Definitely, lead quality is a lot better right now. The quality of the leads, not necessarily the flow for us. Shortening the selling cycle, we've seen that a lot as well. So a lot of the points, I won't beat on those. Ours is a different, we've had a different set of challenges, I guess you could say. Maybe I'm jealous of kind of the service-based brands right now, which are setting records and all-time highs. For us, when this hit, we had 2,000 operating stores domestically that we had to close every one of them. So, for a period there, we were working with candidates in the process with, really our validators having their doors closed. We were fortunate that we were able to, not to use Christina's word, pivot, but to a virtual platform. We had an on-demand Go platform where we could move to that very quickly, and we actually accelerated that program to keep our franchisees above water and actually making money during that period if they're not paying rent and payroll. So there was some silver linings, but for us, I would say what's not hot was definitely our lead flow certainly dropped some. Unfortunately, I think we got lumped into this category of non-essential businesses, even like bars and casinos, which is crazy to me when I think fitness should be one of the most essential things right now in fighting COVID with improving immune systems and things of that nature. But needless to say, we've had to battle that quite a bit. So some of what we've been able to do is kind of decouple ourselves from really the box gym and really kind of almost reposition ourselves in the market. So I guess relative to kind of what's been not so hot, our lead flow has definitely dropped to some degree because I think there's a few reasons for it. I think to some degree, some people are a little bit scared of fitness at this point, just because of what's going on in the media, which is so counterintuitive to what we're experiencing in our business, and which is interesting. So our biggest job for us has been kind of educating both consumers and network consultants that hey, we're kind of a unicorn in this industry, and we've created really a solution to this, and we're going to experience a huge surge because of it. And there's a lot of opportunities to look at right now, which are obviously real estate and employees and cheap money for those that can get it. So there's a lot there that we've been able to kind of leverage. What we've seen in terms of the lead flow, though, definitely quality for those that kind of get it. I guess in our space. They see the opportunities that I just mentioned and kind of riding this wave post-COVID with a lot of our competition going away, a huge movement away from the box gym to boutique, which is where we sit, and coming on board with the 800-pound gorilla that's kind of gobbling everything up. So from that side of it, people that are in the process right now, boy, they've been solid into a lot of the points that were made today on the call. Instead of people in our system, or we have franchisees that are in other systems that are looking at this, that instead of shying away, they're looking to double down right now and lock in some lease rates that are 20% below market right now. 3 to 6 month rental abatements, caps on rates, negotiating language, COVID language into leases. Just a tremendous amount of opportunities with TI improvements and things of that nature that we haven't seen in recent history from the retail side of it, which are phenomenal. So those are the opportunities that we're having with existing candidates, and so those that are serious about looking at the space, see what's going to ultimately happen here, and the surge with our model. Again, to everybody's point on the call, our sales cycle has really shortened quite a bit. With them moving through the process and seeing the opportunity, I would say, and I know you're going to kind of hit on, the discovery day process, if you will. I would say kind of with ours, again, it shortens the selling cycle if someone does not have to, book a couple weeks in advance, get on a flight, come out, to where, we're at in California and go through the process, and getting time off from work and all those things. So being able to schedule, a virtual discovery day again next week, if they have completed the tasks that we want them to in the educational process, again, has shortened that cycle for us and reduced the amount of fear kind of heading into, an award and a transaction. So those are definitely, some silver linings for us. In terms of what's hot for us, again, it's kind of, I think, in times of crisis, I've said there's fortunes to be made and there's fortunes to be lost, and so we've really tried to position our company as a company that's, to make a fortune with, but from the standpoint that, we do really feel that we are unique in a number of ways that most companies are going to struggle in fitness. We're going to thrive because of, a different, we have a singular modality approach to our verticals and things of that nature, which we have an on-demand digital program, again, that's very robust, that creates some real substantial differentiators. So for us, it's been about educating, again, consumers and brokers that, we are kind of, unique in this segment, and, folks are going to really experience a lot of opportunities right now that they'll ride a wave, with long term in the brick and mortar arena if they're looking for something that's in that kind of semi-absentee, scalable, reoccurring revenue, area. So we like our opportunities there. I loved what Christina had said. I think we're one of the more battle-proof tested spaces when you look at it. Having gone through 2008, experienced growth after 2008, was one of 4 segments that did after the Great Recession. But the buying power out there right now is incredible. I mean, if you look at a lot of indicators, whether it be market or, real estate, or if you look at, in boat sales or luxury items, there's a lot of buying power out there. I'm hearing a lot of franchisors setting record numbers. So, we're trying to get our piece in the brick and mortar space, and to educate people that we have a real opportunity here. So that's kind of what's hot and what's not for us, I guess.
Strong. So, Lance, on the Discovery Day topic, and I'm going to ask this of everyone, how frequent are your Discovery Days now versus pre-pandemic? Lance? Yeah,
great question. We were doing in-person Discovery Days once a month for each of our brands. So obviously 8 Discovery Days a month under our hood when we did in-person Discovery Days. When we moved to the virtual option, for a period, we did one of each. So we did a hybrid model where we did one virtual, and we started to get back to in-persons, although California has shut us down once again. So we've gone to 2 virtuals a month for each brand because we can. It's just easier with logistics. So we're doing 2 a month at this stage for each brand. So basically 16 virtual Discovery Days a month that we're doing for ours. To kind of segue on one of the points you're making with Cameron's comments, we do want to make sure for our Discovery Day, we find that people are, had a tendency to just schedule, the Discovery Day as, another one of their educational calls. And we really feel strongly it should be a peaking event for our opportunity. We do have a higher investment because we're in retail and brick and mortar. So fear does come into play, is probably our biggest, deal buster, if you will. So, there's just nothing that can replace that in-person discovery day. We've had to really get creative to create a virtual product that would compare and that could accomplish the same end goal with it. But we did find that, we were getting people that were just kind of doing a virtual discovery day, merry-go-round with 3 or 4 franchisors. So we have kind of taken a little different approach from Cameron's in that we want them to have completed the educational process. They understand it's really confirmation day, and that we're going to have a limited time with our award after discovery day, to make decision and move forward and sign. With that approach, we've had great success with it and getting deals done and kind of keeping fear at bay as much as possible.
Nice. Thank you, Lance. Appreciate it. Lori, pre and current discovery day, the virtual versus the pre-pandemic discovery day timeline, how's it changed?
I think it's going much quicker virtually. I don't know that we're going to go back so fast. We're doing a few, we call them meet the team days, discovery days. We're doing a few a week. We do them one, we don't do a group, we do them one at a time. And I call that like meeting the in-laws day. They're ready to make a decision to put that ring on. So we're ready to award them right after meet the team day. And it's happening very quickly after that.
And before the pandemic, you were still doing them one-on-one, and how often?
We were doing them one-on-one, but we were doing them in person. And of course, it's better in person because they get to test our product and, have a lot more fun. But as somebody said, where you have to do the travel,
yeah,
it moves quicker on our end.
Strong. And Brent.
Yeah, I hate to shirk the question. The answer is I don't know. 18 brands is tricky, but what I do know is some feedback from the team. And we're kind of, the feedback that I'm hearing and how we're scheduling these counteracts kind of the word out there that virtual's the way to go. We're certainly, and I think Cameron mentioned it too, that conversion rate we're seeing suffers in pushing people through to virtual. So what we have done is, and I've seen this from a bunch of the teams here, they're injecting the founders or the executive team more formally into the process to do that virtually, tick that off. And then where possible for most of the brands where we still can get folks there, we still believe there's, especially when you're selling something that like a franchise, which is such a unique and difficult and complex sell, the value of looking someone in the eyes and not shaking hands anymore, but bumping elbows, it's still so powerful. And especially we're probably a lot more weighted towards retail and food and showing an experience that we have not figured out how to do great virtually. So for us, I think that we're still pushing wherever we can to get folks to come. And I see a lot of Discovery Day action. I just don't know at this stage, more or less, before. I don't want to give you bad information.
Love it. Thank you. And Joe?
Pre-COVID meltdown, when the person was ready to go at that stage in the funnel, they would go. And we've done three things since the pandemic has happened. First of all, we've changed the narrative a little bit through the due diligence process. And it used to be very, very data-driven about the brand. Lots and lots of good information. And what we found is because of the pandemic and the things that people were seeing out there, it became much more about culture. And what were we doing to support our existing franchisees through the pandemic? How were we showing servant style leadership and these kinds of things? And so making the due diligence process leading up to Discovery Day about that, and then telling folks that Discovery Day is a confirmation day, but it's also come see that culture in action. And what we found is we're still doing live Discovery Days at the same rate we were doing before. Folks are wanting to get on a plane and go see that in action. And we're still also, for those folks that don't, we give them the choice. And so, we're doing about 2 live a month and 2 to 3 virtual events a month. Some of those are one-off folks. Some of them have groups of people in different areas that are coming in at the same time. And we're actually right now at the finish line of a couple of phases of a project that we're doing, because I agree with the idea that I think virtual is going to be the way forward. How do you take that 5 senses experience of a Discovery Day and bring it home? how do I give somebody that from the couch? And one of the things, for example, we've got a 150,000 square foot warehouse. It'd be really awkward with somebody walking around with their phone trying to do a FaceTime explanation of what they're seeing there. So we're actually getting ready to launch a 3D immersive virtual experience of our facilities, where if you're familiar with like the Oculus Rift or Google Cardboard and those kinds of wearable visors that you can then explore in a real virtual environment of a store, of our headquarters office, of our lab, of our planogram room, all of this stuff that will be injected into as part of the due diligence process and also the discovery day itself. Now folks can be sitting on their couch and experience headquarters and then still get the talking heads and interview and conversations after that portion of the discovery day. The only thing that they don't get is the lunch that we provide. So maybe we'll have to start sending pizza at that point or something. But yeah, and so we haven't really seen a slowdown in the volume of discovery days. What we have seen is the cadence going from discovery day to franchise awarded with the live discovery days is much faster and better than it used to be. The cadence from virtual discovery day to franchise awarded is notably at least a week slower.
And you still have the same threshold requirements to be able to participate?
Correct.
Yeah. Getting to the discovery day virtually versus in person, I would assume the virtual is maybe a week or two sooner. So the overall timeline.
That's also true. The timeline's about the same, but the decision-making process is slower for that individual. So typically, if somebody wants to go to Discovery Day and they make that decision to say yes to the invitation in the beginning of September, they may not go until the end of September or the beginning of October, but that virtual person can almost go next week. So the sales cycle itself still sees an overall benefit of being reduced, but we have noticed that in-person experience is stronger in terms of that validation to what they've been told up until that point. And they're not just getting it from me or my team anymore. They're seeing, 200 people, 200 seats, we should say. We're still at our headquarters office, about 50% remote. Seeing that in person is just different. And so that's why we leaned into, hey, how do we make this like a Disney ride where they're almost there? And
you're mailing them the visors. I assume batteries plus bolts, branded.
Yep. Yeah. Well, we're going to decide between making them look like a battery or making them look like a store. But it'll have a QR code on it. You scan it with your phone. You slide the phone into the device. It's cross-platform functionality is there, so it doesn't matter what phone you have. And when you're done with the experience, you hand it over to the kids, and they've got something to play with. So. Either way, they're going to see our brand house for a while.
I love it. Christina, what do you see in the world of virtual and pre-pandemic virtual discovery days?
Well, we always did an in-person discovery day once a month pre-pandemic. And I remember the last one in March, one guy who actually thought he was sick, shaking his hand as he left. So April, everything started virtual, but we're a work from home franchise. So for us, it made sense. It wasn't like we really had to shift all that much. We ended up adding a discovery. We've been doing them every 2 weeks as needed. We're pretty flexible in that. And it's because of the increase in candidates that are coming through. As far as when we allow them to come to Discovery Day, because they do have to have a formal invitation to that, I actually stole the term from Ryan Zink. I have a 90-10 rule. So they need to be 90% done with their discovery in our process. Enough franchisee validation calls done, full FDD review, financing all lined up, everything else done. And Discovery Day is a way for them to meet our team, feel our culture, which I'm shocked at how much that comes through over webcam. It really, truly does. Because we have all of our departments present and talk, and we bring franchisees on as well. And I will say also, and I'm forget who's just said this, maybe it was you, Joe, about what we're doing during COVID and how our franchisees are doing during COVID and what that communication is like. So content-wise, we really are doubling down on that. We have a lot of testimonial videos right now, but nothing is better than getting a franchisee on Discovery Day for a 45-minute Q&A on how has your business changed during COVID, for that franchisee to say, oh my gosh, I just had the biggest week I ever had, and I've been doing this for 10 years. So the COVID messaging is good for us, and we're using that a lot during Discovery Day, which we never really did before. We didn't typically have any kind of Q&A with a franchisee before, but it's been fantastic. I just had one yesterday with 3 candidates who already came back and said, yes, I want an award letter. So with that 90-10, the 10 stands for within 10 days, you need to sign an award letter. Not sign an agreement, but just sign an award letter, let us know you want to move forward, then we can work with you on the signing time. So still flexible on that end, but we're finding that keeping up that same requirement, keeping up that same point in the process where Discovery Day is approval on both sides. It's, are we a good fit for you? Are you a good fit for us? It works, because when we have allowed people who are a little earlier on in the process to join, along with those who are ready to go, the messaging got a bit muddled. You had some folks who were asking very basic questions they should already know, and it really did detract from the guys who wanted to sign. So we've kept pretty true to that. I think we will. And what we're seeing right now, again, is the success from it, and the fact that the only thing that we're losing is a really nice dinner that we would normally take them out to. But I don't see us really shifting from virtual anytime soon. It saves them money, saves us money, and the timing has been fantastic.
Nice. Thank you, Christina. And guys, if you have any questions, hit them on the right side. I'm really proud to say that we've kept just about everybody for here 40-something minutes. So 22 folks in the background. All right, a couple questions have come through, as you can see on the right side. Jennifer Campbell over at Hot Dish. I'm going to twist her question just a little bit. She asked, where did you guys pivot your conference and expo budget? So this is FranDev, so we don't need to talk necessarily about the conference, but you all have a FranDev budget. Some of you probably lost some of that budget as the pandemic kicked in. I know Cameron's nodding. He and I talked a lot about that. But now that things are coming back or even exceeding where they were, where did you pivot that budget to? Took it away from expos, no doubt, and moved them to X. Cameron, how about yourself?
Yeah, so obviously right in the height of it, we had a lot of the resources was taken away from development activities and pivoted towards operations. So building new programs for franchise partners who were already in the system. And it was the right thing to do at that time. Now that things have stabilized, where we're seeing more of that money go back into is investing into our relationships with the various broker and consulting groups. That's been a priority. We're also reinvesting in a lot of our digital, and not digital advertising as much, where we haven't seen as much success in that channel. Like somebody mentioned, Facebook. We just haven't seen the same type of lift. I think it's the nature of the businesses that we're in. And when you think about painting and junk removal, people will immediately say, well, I don't want to do that. I don't like that, instead of looking at the true business opportunity. And that's where we found that the brokers and consultants have been really impactful, is that they're able to first learn about the needs, do the assessment, and then say, well, actually, you may not have thought about painting as an example, but it hits all the notes. So we're reinvesting in a lot of one thing that became very clear to us throughout the kind of March, April, May, was that we did not do a great job on our SEO. Because when we turned off the taps from some of the digital marketing, we saw that significant dip. We've done some tweaking on that, but a lot of the resources have shifted to creating new content, new videos, new web pages that are speaking to the current climate, because the language has changed. In January was a very different aspirational tone, and now things have changed, forever. So we have to adapt the way that we speak to our leads or our browsers, because that has increased significantly. We're getting a lot of people who are bouncing around looking at our material. The conversion has gone down because the volume has increased. So we need to get better at getting the right people visit our pages versus a lot of the looky-loos who aren't necessarily looking for a business, but they're looking at stuff. So the two pieces would be doubling down with our brokers and consultants, and reinvesting in a lot of our own assets, namely websites, content, videos, etc.
Excellent, Cameron. Thank you. And Lance.
Jeez. I hate saying this. I would say ditto with what Cameron just said. It's digital and really reinvesting more, doubling down with our partners in the consultant networks and broker networks. A lot of video content, because again, without being able to get people into our studios, more and more video content from a validation standpoint and things of that nature, which I kind of see as kind of validation testimonial type things that kind of drive lead flow as well. But spot on with what Cameron was talking about. Yeah.
Thank you, Lance.
Yep.
Lori, how about you? What you moved some money around? Oh, did I go on mute? Lori, are you there?
Looks like she's frozen.
Oh, she is frozen. All right, I'm gonna come back to Lori when she unfreezes. Brent?
Fred.
Oh yeah, hey Lori. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'll jump in then. I think, we never really did any expo spending. We've always kind of been a digital only approach to generating leads. So not a pivot from there, but we did move some budgets around because of the environment. I think the biggest two, we always try and figure out where the attention is and go and chase the attention. So the first place we put more money into was LinkedIn. We noticed an uptick in a number of users, active daily users on that platform. And it was cool. And you can target and you can certainly get deals done, but they're expensive. So we pulled that back after a couple months. And I think also, we realized that people were hitting the news sites a lot, that people want to know what's going on in the world. There's a lot of news going on. So we moved the money, and we're still doing this, into programmatic advertising, which is a pretty complex thing, but it gets you on big sites like that where people are actually visiting and allows you to send a message there. So I think that's probably the two biggest changes for us there.
Awesome, Brent. Thank you. Lori. Oh no. Are you there, Lori?
We also put ourselves a little bit more pivoting into a PR to get more stories out, to get the word out. Instead of being on the expo side, we're on the PR side. Nice.
I haven't heard that one yet. Great. Good to hear, Lori. I've been hearing that PR is still as popular.
Frozen,
I've been hearing that PR is as popular as ever, but it's more nurturing and less lead gen than it used to be a decade ago. From a change standpoint, I see some nods. Joe, any thoughts there?
Yes, we actually were planning on doing a whole mess of shows this year, and so I was happy to see. I was happy to spend it on shows, but I was happy to see that money come back to me again and get a chance to be creative there. So we invested a little bit into everything everybody's already said: PR, LinkedIn, doubled down on some of the digital success that we were having. But a lot of it came down to the content creation and getting that narrative out there, specifically pointing folks to the point that, we are an essential business. We are a small box retailer, versus somebody going into a Walmart where they might get exposed to 80 people in one shot. Being a locally owned business, which is obviously on everybody's platform right now, support your local business owner. And then, having an assortment of revenue streams and categories, and really positioning the brand as a hedge against a lot of the volatility that some other industries are dealing with right now in the marketplace. And so we've seen a flood of people respond to that because we've positioned the brand as, hey, we're either the anchor point in your portfolio if you're a multi-brand, multi-unit person, and protecting you against some of that volatility, or we're just a hedge against maybe some of the single unit folks out there who are concerned about that employment situation, and getting the message out there through various forms and various channels has been where we've really put those dollars and have seen a lot of success.
Nice. Thank you, Joe. Christina, did I hit you on this question? Thank you. Go for it.
So Canada was the only place we were doing any expos. Took all of that money and added more, actually, and put it 100% into Google ads and LinkedIn reach outs. So not the expensive LinkedIn ad side like Brent is saying, but got a seat on LinkedIn Recruiter. My global team was great to do that and got approval from them to do it. So was able to go out and hunt and find some really great leads that way, especially people who had logistics background. So Canada, that was it. It was those two, and it's worked great. So we've done 5 deals from 0, which is great for Canada. That's not a heavy deal flow country for us anyway. But in the U.S., we've spent more money. So we didn't ship things, we spent more. And I'd say it's a combination of what everyone said. PR, we already have on retainer. We just added more newswire releases. Love that. We did more video testimonial production, using that for e-blasts, especially e-blasts with brokers and trying to get an uptick on the broker networks. And, Red, your group, I think you already know, we have a very, very high closing percentage with you. Trying to up that on the other sides. And really doubling down on an investment on franchise profiling too. So I think I saw Phil Metra had a comment in the chat box about that, using a really, really honed in ideal candidate profile to influence the messaging we had out there to make our Google ads much more effective and efficient. And that's driven down that cost, but driven up the quality of the candidates too. So I think with everybody else, there's no silver bullet. It's a mixture of a little bit of everything that has come together to give us a pretty good lead flow at this time. Top of funnel looks great.
Nice. So on that topic, guys, we know the consultants, the brokers out there, a ton of them use the profiling tools like Zoracle that Phil represents. But you guys, by a show of hands, as time is short, who requires the candidate at some point in your process to complete a profiling tool? Cameron. I saw Brent. Lori? No? Okay, about half and half here. It's always a bonus. It's nice to have, but not. I think that's probably the industry half and half. You see it out there often. It's a blessing when the consultants provide it, but not everybody requires it. Cassandra's got a question. You guys, raise your hand if you want to answer this one, because we certainly don't have time to hit it. It's a complicated one. What would you say was the best thing you did to increase your consumer confidence among prospective franchisees? We won't talk about existing Zs right now, since this is FranDev. We've shared some of this topic already, but if you have more insights around increasing the not just consumer confidence, but the candidate confidence, what can you share, guys? Raise your hand and I'll call on you. Miss Chambers.
I'd say PR and my time. I've been doing a lot of online interviews. And those have been going out there, and candidates are finding them, and they're loving the story that we have.
Nice. Yeah, Joe.
Things that has worked well for us in that space, kind of dovetail a little bit off of what Christina said, is just making sure we're telling the story. And it's kind of tried and true, but you've got to do more of it. And if you're thinking in terms of like Grant Cardone's 10X rule type of thing, if we've told one franchisee success story a month, well, we're telling 30 now. If we're telling one candidate's story of their journey from whatever their starting point is to wherever they are now, even if it's pumping up the exit strategy support that we offer for those folks that are in the system, we're just doing more of it. And we want to be seen everywhere all the time and just be that brand that, yep, we're here, we're doing it, and we're not going away, and we're stable. And I think that's been the critical thing for us.
Strong. Cameron.
Yeah, for us, we always introduce franchise partners kind of, halfway between, intro calls to a discovery day. What we've done to address that is we're including franchise partners in a lot of different ways. So a lot of, one-on-one conversations. We have candidates that are going and meeting our franchise partners. And in having that conversation with real people, rather than us just telling the story, which I would fully be on board with Joe on that, we're increasing the volume of those testimonials and those stories, those real stories. But having our franchise partners more engaged and more involved in the franchise development process has given candidates more confidence to know this isn't just corporate spin. This is actually happening with this person in this market that is similar to mine. And that gives me peace of mind. So we've always had, franchise partner engagement and involvement in the process. I just think that now more than ever, we're leaning a little bit heavier on them, and they're happy to do it. They're again, like I said earlier, they want to be a part of the growth, and so that's been a nice surprise for us.
Guys, we are about out of time. Anything on your mind that could bless some franchise development folks out there that we haven't discussed? Don't be shy. Anything else you can share? Lori, anything on your mind? Lori, I am so sorry. We keep getting you frozen there. Anybody else? Anything hot that you think would be of value that we haven't shared yet?
I'll make one comment. Just, as a company, we have this very sharing and caring mindset when we're prospecting and when we're talking to candidates. We're doing the same thing in franchise development. So it doesn't matter when the call is. We're asking, how are you? Are you and your family well during these times? Period. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. If it's the first call, if it's the 10th call, we're always asking that. And I think just making sure you're maintaining that sharing and caring mindset, it goes really far with candidates to know that you have a supportive culture too.
Empathy. Amen.
Empathy.
I saw Miss Shafran moving around. Oh no, I lost her. Oh boy, timing is great here. Oh, there she is. Lori, any final thoughts? Yes, no, Lori, anything? Gang, Red Boswell with IFPG. Thank you for joining the FranDev Rockstar team. We're going to have a recording this coming in 2 to 3 weeks, and we're going to get it out to everybody. At least that's the plan. Thanks again. Thanks, Jen, for the questions. Cassandra, Phil, and all our Rockstar panelists. We appreciate you so much. Hope to see you in person. Give you either a knuck, an elbow, or a big fat hug real soon. Thanks again, gang, for joining today. Appreciate you.
Fred.